Hello, good evening, good night, and welcome to another edition of the GreenBaje podcast. As always, that is AJ. He's the green. I'm Ken. I am the beige. And we had to bring back the quartet again this week after all the laughs that we had last week. What's going on, Justin? What's going on, Adam?
Everything cool, my side.
I can't complain, boy. I had some 28 degrees Celsius weather today. I
Woo!
went on the I
The
went on
little things, huh?
little things, boy. So I went on the course and I went by this restaurant that has a pool. Saw some lovely young ladies and some lovely swimwear. And yeah, boy, had a good time.
Oh, fuck
Well,
on.
we appreciate your sacrifice, Justin, to be here because you said that if it wasn't for this show, chances are you might still be lounging by the pool. So we
Not
appreciate.
chances, boy. I can tell you, you would be making money on a bet that I would be still at that pool, boy. Tell you.
Guaranteed. Meanwhile,
Oh boy.
meanwhile, here, yeah, sore from basketball. You know, when you get to a certain age, you start to wonder, how did I scrimmage every day, at least twice when I was younger? I playing basketball once a week, and yeah, muscles suffering.
Stop talking. You're making my knee hurt just from hearing that. My knee hurting me just listening to you. Stop.
So yeah, fellas. So we're getting off the rip this week again, but we going a little bit more close to home as to what's happening. Justin, I don't know how you get upside down, sir. Um,
Me either.
Man in the upside down.
yeah, right now you're doing like a lot of these movies and shows that I seen nowadays that they meant starting the episode or starting the movie with an upside down camera. I don't get
Now,
that behavior. But
yeah,
while
boy.
Justin is coming in, we get this introduction going. So this week's episode is called "Bring the Brooms" because one broom got broken out last night, and the next one, well, if the odds makers are to be believed, we might be seeing a second sweep happening tonight, where the Boston Celtics are going up against the Miami Heat in Miami, having surrendered every advantage possible on their home floor by getting beat 2-0. But first, before we get there, we have to talk about the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, they have made the NBA Finals for the first time in their history. The Nuggets have been in existence for 47 years in the NBA. The furthest they had reached before this was the conference finals when they played against the same Los Angeles Lakers in the bubble back in 2020. But this season, they have gone a step further, and you can imagine that the city of Denver is buzzing. I was at work today, and before I could get a stroke driven in the people's work, I was in conversation for an hour talking about what happened in these games. So, for those who may be a little uninitiated, when we talk about somebody getting swept, that means they got beat four straight. They did not win a single game. They have not troubled the scorers, and they are now eliminated. I don't want to start with Adam on this one because he holds tighter to his LA roots than I do at this point. So, Justin, I'm going to ask you first: was Denver that much better than the Lakers?
Well, I tell you all sorry, I tell you all the time. I live in a results oriented world. When you win four games and the other team does not win any, that tells you all you need to know. Yeah, Denver was that much better than LA. You have to remember, LA at one point was 13th in the West, and it took a whole revamp of their roster just for them to get into the play-in tournament to begin with and get through these playoff rounds. I mean, granted, they were kind of impressive against both Memphis and then later on Golden State. But when you look on the other side, Denver was the number one seed in the West for basically since Christmas. So yes, like these are two parallels. Like this was the best team in the West versus a team that had to reconstruct its roster just to get into the playoffs. And so then when you look at the team itself, yes, there are some question marks defensively. Like they lose focus on that side of the ball from time to time. But offensively, there are absolutely no weaknesses. There are no problems on that side of the ball First, you're talking about arguably the best player in basketball right now in Nikola Jokic. Like, I don't have to go on and on about this man. Like, Mr. Triple Double right now himself. He's averaging a 30-point triple double throughout the entire playoffs, not just one series. Then you have he is one of 6 Denver Nuggets averaging double digits. When your second leading scorer is at what, like 20 high points per game at 6 assists, and that is your second option, that just speaks to the depth. You have inside scoring, you have 3-point shooting, you can space the floor, you can punch and kick. Like Michael Porter Jr. is shooting phenomenally from behind the arc. Like, they have everything. They have size, they have length, they have athleticism, they can shoot the ball, they're deep. This Denver Nuggets team was just that much better than Los Angeles Lakers. And your 2 best players in the Lakers are older, and the team is not exactly a good 3-point shooting team outside of Austin Reeves. Denver led the playoffs in point differential. We're leading in 3-point percentage. Yeah, sorry, Ken. Like, they had the 2 best players in the series. No matter wherever you put LeBron James in history, it's just like at this point in time, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray were the best players in the series by a mile. This team is just that much better than Los Angeles.
Okay, Adam, do you agree with Justin that the Nuggets were that much better? A 4-0 sweeping of the Los Angeles Lakers?
I'm gonna go on a controversial limb and say no, and this is why. This is not subjective bias by any means. So before anybody jump on that, I remember stating that the Lakers have a mammoth task in facing the Nuggets. I also remember um, telling a huge LeBron fan just after All-Star game, it's a lie, just after the trade was made, when the Lakers were evidently made better, and so on and so forth. When the statement was made, man, the Nuggets leading, but the Nuggets don't want the Lakers smoke because the Joker can't handle AD. Ken, I'm sure you can remember because your memory relatively great. Me telling this individual, brother, this Nuggets squad is 1, no joke, and 2, not that Nuggets squad that the Lakers beat in the bubble, albeit Jamal was hurt and so on and so forth, which is also, as we can see, a mammoth factor. But here's why I'm saying that the Nuggets were not that much better than LA. All of Justin's points just now were pertinent, or factual, as a matter of fact. The best 2 players in the series was the Joker, and who I have now dubbed Mr. Murray, aka the principal, because it's only a principal that there's this sheer lashes like that as you turn the corner. And the way he was rolling off of some of them screens, every time he rolled off that screen and fire, it was lashes. So his name is not the principal. The best 2 players in the team in the series were those 2 guys. And the deployment of AG50 was actually fantastic. I can go opposite to Justin here when he said, the defense can lapse sometimes. It didn't lapse in this series because myself and Ken actually watched game 1 together. And the Nuggets defense from opening tip of game 1 was remarkable. That's a huge reason as to why I think they won. Again, this is why one of the reasons why I'm going to say that they weren't that much better is because of the point difference in which they beat the Lakers. No, everybody said, man, but is it still a sweep? Yes, true. And the history books will show 4-zip, 4-zip in any stratosphere is licks. If you break it down as responsible pundits should. When you look at the ebb and flow of the games themselves, I think the Lakers did phenomenally well to get to the conference finals in the first place. But I didn't expect them to really beat the. If they had beaten the juggernaut that is the Nuggets, the Lakers would deserve to win the title, regardless of who comes to the East. But the Nuggets are a better team. They're better constructed, they're better gelled, and they were better prepared. They were more consistent and all that and all that. But I don't think they were like. This is not me saying that they weren't better. Just before the guns come blazing. This is not me saying that they weren't better. The Nuggets are obviously better. Pretty much on all facets. But that much better. Yes, it was a sweep. But I think it was a sweep primarily because of a lot of the errors the Lakers made. There's some decisions that the Lakers could have made differently that would have won them at least one or two games. And that was evident. But kudos to the Nuggets. Forward on.
What were you, AJ? So we got 1 for, we got 1 against. Where do you fall on this question?
I did not want to follow the Lakers fan here. I wanted Adam to bring up the rear here and to be able to talk about his Lakers as a final point, but I didn't jump in time. I am more inclined to side with Justin here, and Adam, I take everything you said, and I do get your points, and I think in terms of like the decisions and the point differential and whatnot, I could see where you're coming from with that, because this Lakers team essentially was assembled halfway through the season. So you could tell that there was a little bit of maybe rust, for want of a better word, or not unfamiliarity in certain areas, with everybody trying to like gel this new unit into like I guess a potential championship contending team. So I get what you're saying, but I don't know. It just felt to me like from the eye test. I'm not even talking stats now. It just felt to me from the eye test that the Nuggets were that much better. No, I didn't sit down and watch every single minute of every single game. I'll admit that. But every time I tuned in, whether the Lakers were up or the Nuggets were up, it never felt as if the Nuggets. This is the one word I'll use to define, to differentiate rather the two teams. Composure. To me, it felt like the stark difference in these two teams was composure. And even when the Lakers had leads in games, the Nuggets were able to keep it close. And it just felt like they were always hanging around and was like just waiting on, kind of like a cobra, waiting on the right moment to strike, right? But they just always kept it close and kept composure. And that well, from a coaching standpoint, and then even you could tell the players on the court were basically in that kind of zone as well. That's why I feel like they were that much better. Again, we could talk about the stats and all that, but I always thought that the matchup was going to be difficult for the Lakers going in. I don't know how many of us actually had faith in the Lakers to win this series. I'm pretty sure none of us expected a sweep, though. I'm pretty sure I said like Lakers in 6, not Lakers.
Nuggets in 6.
In 6. Pretty sure I said Nuggets in 6. But just looking at it, the Lakers seemed overwhelmed. They seemed overwhelmed, and they, to me, just didn't have the composure. And I think that is a major factor at this point. And Ken, to your point that we were talking about a couple weeks back, right? Yeah, LeBron looked like he was getting whooped by Father Time, though. And there were just some times when it seemed like he wanted to do more, but his body was not being.
Couldn't.
Yeah.
Just. Yeah.
Especially a lot of those times he was jacking up some stupid threes. And yeah, it's you could tell it.
I can piggyback on that, AJ. I can piggyback on that, AJ.
My point is done. So you could go ahead. I was just saying, I'm more inclined to agree with Justin here, but it's not a disrespect to the Lakers because I think their situation was always going to be a bad matchup to go against this Nuggets team. But you could go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, before or very own Ernie Johnson chime in. I can just piggyback on that. Like you see the Father Time point. Again, we've been telling people, listen, no matter how much, no, how ironclad LeBron appears to be, Father Time is undefeated. And even prior to the series, prior to this Nugget series, and the mere fact that a lot of the Lakers' success depended on AD's prominence, and influence on the game, heavy influence on the game, not just sidekick influence. Sure that LeBron needed a lot of rest time. A lot of I went play basketball tonight. Brother, brethren, listen, I the same age as LeBron, huh? The half times I scrimmage at least 11 or 12 games today. And by game 10 or so, my teammate was actually, yeah, I don't make see you tired. You're popping in and out for no shot, no more. I said, yeah, just give me on the block. You know what I mean? Like when you watching LeBron, sometimes you can see, or yeah, I can step past this man and drive past this man, but my body telling me nah. Or he would get to the ring and he just won't finish. You know what I mean? Simple things like that. Simple things like that is indicators, boss. Sign up for Happy Valley. Start to sign up for Happy Valley.
See, and that now leads me into the point that I was coming to make because Justin said yes. Adam said, well, we can see some reasons why certain things happen. So no, it is like, well, I will kind of go where Justin is going. I am 100% in the camp of this showed exactly what the scoreline 4-0 showed exactly what the outcome would have been in this series. And the reason is it's kind of simple. No, first off, it is to the Lakers' credit that they only got blown out in one of the four games that they lost. They actually played pretty
Which
well.
one?
I think it was game.
Game two.
Biggest lead was 10.
Game two.
Biggest lead was 10. 10.
I
Fam.
just I just remember that in
I
game
know, I
two,
know.
the
It was
margin
game
of
two. In game two, you're talking about when the man had to claw the man, but I just could not get on. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
But I mean, even all right. So even if we were to say that they did not get blown out in any of the games, they did not have enough to get past what the Nuggets were doing. So we have Nikola Jokic, who averages a triple double. We have Jamal Murray, who has averaged 28 points a game in this series. On the other side, you have LeBron James, you have Anthony Davis, who nobody who does not have any kind of understanding of Nuggets basketball and the two players whose names I just mentioned would not pick the Nuggets to have the two best players in the series. You would say maybe Jokic is one, but LeBron and AD probably are two and three, and then Jamal Murray is four. We have seen, and Kirk, this is where you can put your lashes in AD in the comments because I can put some lashes in here. No, AD was up and down all playoffs long, all playoffs long. It was good in the odd number games. He was terrible in the even number games. That was a consistent theme all playoffs long. So now you coming up against a well-oiled machine in Denver who in the very first game of the series, we have four role players that finish with 15, at least 15 points each. And you have consistent contributions coming from the role players that not getting from over on the Lakers side of the ledger. Austin Reeves is giving you some timely buckets, but after Austin Reeves, who are we talking about? When Gabriel never saw the floor except for looking at it from the bench. He never got to play a minute. But Tristan Thompson, who came in at the very last moment, somehow got minutes in game four. What are we doing? Anthony Davis last night was a pussycat for the majority of the game. When he is 4 for 13 in the fourth quarter. He's not calling for the ball. He's not getting down on the block. He's not looking for a pass. He's not looking for a shot. He's just there in the event that maybe one of these bad shots that they're taking rebounds and finds his hand somewhere out there, and then he's just kicking the ball back up. He's not. He had one putback dunk for the entire game, and that's supposed to be your second best player. And then to the point of LeBron James and Father Time. LeBron James came out last night and put his all in that first, not even the first half necessarily, but that first quarter. He was shooting the three ball better last night than he had shot the three ball at any point in time during these playoffs. Going into the game last night, he was 1 for 10 from 3-point range. That is not going to win you anything, especially when you're coming up against a team that has superior shooters. But somehow he was 4 for 4 in the first quarter. He finished the first quarter with 21 points, or 23 points. He finished the first half with 30, and he played all but 4 seconds. And the majority of the time he played in that first half, it was drive to the hole, drive to the hole, drive to the hole. But for you guys who've played much more basketball than I have, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It takes a whole lot less energy to stand up outside the arc and shoot threes than it takes to drive into the interior and we banging bodies with men that are bigger than you to get to the cup to score. So when Jeff Van Gundy, and this was annoying me, I am not a Nuggets fan. I live in Denver and I've developed an affinity for the team because I live here and the enthusiasm around me is rubbing off. But I got annoyed when I'm watching this game play and I am hearing Jeff Van Gundy in the third quarter saying, oh, but LeBron needs to attack. LeBron needs to get inside. LeBron needs to play in the paint. I'm like, Jeff, LeBron is almost as old as you. How do you mean that he's supposed to be attacking and he's supposed to be playing in the paint? The man literally is like in honor of Fast X that is in the cinema right now. This is like a drag race, right? And you punch your nose for the second that your nose gets ahead in the first quarter of the race. When you need the nose coming on to the end, you don't have any more. All of your boost is gone, and that's what happened to LeBron. He had nothing left. All three of you will remember when we were in our chats last night, I said in every one, I expected LeBron to coast in the third so that whatever energy he had left, he was going to conserve it for the fourth. And the fourth was going to look just like the first. It was going to be a steady diet of LeBron coming down the key and getting to the hole. And that didn't happen because he didn't have it. He didn't have it. So, yeah, the Lakers were close in every game, more or less. They had opportunities to try to put the Nuggets away, more or less. But when you look at the personnel, especially on the LA side of the ledger, they didn't have it. They didn't have what they needed to deal with a team as good and as well coached as this Nuggets team was. So, well, it gives me limited joy to say this, primarily because of the party drawer, aka the LeBron Tourage, all of those people that's stinking up all of LA and hopefully will leave shortly so I can come back home. Yeah, this was a wrap from game one.
I sorry, man. I find that the narrative, against the stars, LeBron and AD, is a little unfair from this perspective when we then turn and mention how well the others, as Shaq just called them, on Denver, have supported their big two as well. We just gloss over the fact that D'Angelo Russell was a con the whole series.
No, we're not going to gloss over that because I found it weird that he was only benched in game 4. I thought that should have happened in games 1, 2, 3.
For game two, he was poor. I'm saying, so the decisions like that's my only point. Like that's key to my point. You know what I mean? Like of it not being a massive uh difference, and it's no slight against Denver and Denver's brilliance. You know, so I think Lakers got the Lakers got some thinking to do.
Speaking of thinking to do, LeBron James. LeBron James has been saying, surprisingly, that he is considering retirement. Or at least, he's thinking about it. He said in the post game interview, I'm simply not sure if I'll be back in the fall when the season begins. I have a lot to think about. So, LeBron saying that he has a lot to think about is, curious because this is a man that has been hinting all along that he is going to have an opportunity or he wants to have an opportunity to play with his son, Bronny, when he is, in the league because apparently he expects that Bronny is going to get into the league. So, Justin, what do you make of LeBron hinting at possible retirement?
I mean, I'm not shocked. We all made mention of his age. He's 38, 20 years into the league. Like, most players don't ever play far less 10, make it 20 years into the league. And it's always like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's always immediate and harsh when you think about what happens directly following a loss. So, especially at that age, like you find athletes, it's better for them to think days or weeks after the fact because the emotions are fresh and raw. And to go in the manner in which LeBron did a sweep in the conference finals is going to give you the feeling that maybe you should call it quits. Whether he does call it quits or not, I don't even think rests on Bronny because yeah, I think that's the only thing he has to accomplish. Like I can go on, but all of LeBron's accolades at the very, very, very worst, we're talking about the third best player of all time. Like, that's the very worst. He's either one, two, or three, wherever you decide to put it. I think it all rests on what the Lakers can do to improve the roster to continue to contend, because that's all LeBron James at this point in his career is here for. He's not here for the All Star appearances. He's not here for the points. He's not here for the All NBA teams anymore. I don't even think he's here to play with Bronny. I think he is here to contend for titles. And as we've seen now, he can't be the best player on a championship winning team anymore. Like, I think that's obvious to him. I don't even think he can be second best player on a championship winning team because Anthony Davis, for all intents and purposes, I thought Lakers management and LeBron James probably thought Anthony Davis would be the man to be the second best or the man to take the mantle. But in terms of his health and his inconsistency, that clearly is not the case either. So I say all that to say it depends on what the Lakers do in this offseason. And there are two names I have them looking at, and not both, but one or the other. Let's address the elephant in the room. It's obvious they want, or LeBron James wants Kyrie Irving. I don't think that's a rumor or anything that we can gloss over anymore. And obviously the problem with that is that Kyrie Irving is going to want a max contract. Whether he can command it or not is another scenario altogether. But the issue with that is that Lakers are going to have a decision to make with Austin Reeves. And whether you decide to pay him, and you're going to have to pay him significant salary, or let him leave for free. And I don't think the Lakers are in a position to do that because you saw what happened when Dallas made the mistake of letting a player leave for absolutely nothing. And I'm referring to Jalen Brunson. You just can't do it. That's a suicide for a team, especially when you spend time developing players. But on to the next situation. So you probably, in paying Austin Reeves, are going to price yourself out of the Kyrie Irving market, which needs me another player, which is Fred VanVleet. And if you can get Fred VanVleet into that squad, then you probably find yourself in terms of contention again. If the Lakers can't do anything to improve this roster and are forced to bring back D'Angelo Russell, then I suspect that you're going to see LeBron James call it quits, simply because this series showed us LeBron James just can no longer carry a roster, and he can no longer be the best player on the team. And Anthony Davis's injury history and inconsistency following that, he can no longer be your best player in a championship roster either.
What about you, Adam? What do you make of LeBron's comments about potential retirement?
Drawing attention to yourself, as usual. Drawing attention to yourself. LeBron James has been phenomenal at maintaining himself in the spotlight, in a fantastic way. You just get bunks for love in the conference finals, boss. How do I stay relevant? Well, the possible darlings, Cinderella stories of two franchises contest the NBA finals and into the off season, when so many teams who have tossed up seedings across both conferences and created a playoffs that we have not seen from round one in at least a decade. How do I, LeBron James, who is, yes, one of the greatest of all time, as Justin quite said just now, not number one or number two for me, or even number three, but yes, one of the, yes, I make no, bring it. Anybody can bring it. Not number one, not number two, not even number three. But cool, we could bet another time. How do I,
I feel
LeBron
like I
James,
want to be that. No.
who is no longer the best,
How about it? Can I get it on?
best or fourth best player in the league? Because in a league that Giannis, Steph, Embiid, and that man that just murder you for love, you are no longer the best player in the league either. How do
I
I
would
stay?
count with that because I don't even think LeBron James is a top 10 player at this moment. I've said that. So
You talking about me? You talking about me and my what statement just now? I won't go that far. Yes, he's still top 10. Anyway,
I don't have him a top 10 player right now.
that's fine. That's cool. I might be inclined to agree with you after we start the list names. But however, how do I stay relevant? By hinting at retirement. As Ken said, you get a make it seem you can be the only player ever to play with your child on the same team in the same league. I know you hinting at retirement. I don't buy it, LeBron. I don't buy it. And to get to some of the points that Justin raised of where the Lakers go from here, I always see. I was like in three different conversations today. One at scrimmage tonight as well. And I said, look, I will look into packages and trading LeBron. I honestly would. I had a conversation with Ken. This is a wild fantasy. But I would do my utmost best if it was LA to get Damian Lillard. He's so serious about that.
I
You know what I mean?
have no
But
problem with that, but we got to go back now. Okay, can't let that go past. So I could understand with Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who I would have to figure if you don't have LeBron James in your first two, you have his one and two, which is fine by me. But who's that third person that you'd have above LeBron James?
see, no. Am I muted? Sorry. Yeah,
No,
Yeah,
no,
you
you're
good,
not.
you good.
You're good.
I'm muted. No, you want put me out into the stratosphere.
Yes, you have to. You have to. It's a podcast.
I sorry, LeBron ain't more than Kobe for me, you know.
Oh no! I don't like.
If you dare get me vexed, Magic ahead of him too.
Oh.
Stats he have. He played for 20 years. I don't care. None of them men that we call just now ain't get sweet twice in the finals. None of them, not even once. But none of them get sweet twice in the finals. And we talking finals. And them men dominate. Huh? Bring it. I don't business. Tell the party draw cab.
I think we're gonna have to leave this for another conversation. But I have Kobe Bryant, and only because he died, I can be honest, right? I had Kobe Bryant was in my top 10 for so long, and it's only because he died. I was like, all right, to satisfy the Kobe Bryant fans, and then sneak him in the lower part of my 10. Like,
GreenBaje, we gonna come back. We gonna revisit this. Kobe Bryant.
But,
Nah,
I don't even want part of the discussion. I just want a front row seat. I don't even want part of the discussion.
but the good thing is, if the Miami Heat do what we would like them to do, next week we won't have any actual games to talk about because everybody gonna be on break till Thursday. So we can put that on the docket as a
Please.
conversation for next week. We will table that one and return to the whole LeBron and his place in basketball history. But AJ, to the same question that we started with. um, well, before I let you go, I'm just going to read what Kurt says. James is a very calculated person. He does and says nothing at the podium off the cuff. There's a method to the madness. I think there's an angle with that comment. So, AJ, do you agree with our learned gentlemen and colleagues here that this is all a ploy by LeBron?
Yeah, yeah. For the first question, I agree with Justin. This time, I'm going to agree more with Adam here because that is the first thing that came to mind. Now, granted, I didn't watch the post-game interview live. By that time, after a game done, I put on the wire and I was sitting down watching the wire with my wife, right? So I had the time to sit down and listen to Braun. I tell myself I can sit down on the internet. I can sit down on Al Gore internet. And I did, of course. And when I saw that section, I was like, "Come on, Braun! Like, no, I'm not buying that. No, he even if this man tomorrow tell me he retire, I can say he pulling a Tom Brady and he can come back out of retirement. I'm not buying that LeBron James is not going to be in the NBA next season. I'm not buying it. He has two, and to Kirk's point, right? The thing is, Kirk's point is a very salient one, and it could actually lean into both of these arguments because he could be angling at what Justin alluded to with regards to like making the Lakers, forcing the Lakers' hand to make some moves, and essentially getting rid of D'Lo again to to revamp the team for next season, or it could be that he is calculated in like just wanting to, and this is what I believe, same thing as Adam, just trying to keep himself relevant for the summer. Because look at the final words of his interview, and look at this. Today, all of us here in sports media have to have this discussion. What we're not talking about mainly is, and well, mind you, we put it in here. But
I was about to say blame Ken then.
no, but Ken did put it in. But the topic, the main topic, has now become less of the Nuggets sweeping the Lakers and more of what is happening to, like, is LeBron really considering retirement? I am not buying it. LeBron James has 2 years left on that contract. You know what happened in the next 2 years? Bronny playing 1 year at USC and then getting drafted, and that next second year is Bronny's rookie year. I firmly believe this man still does want to hold on to this dream, this pipe dream of playing with his son in the league. I really believe it. He's been saying so for too long, and the fact that he has 2 years left, I honestly feel he's going to try to see. I ain't buying out LeBron trying to be relevant as he always does.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything that anybody here has said because it could be that
even Adam having LeBron James at number 5. Just want to ask that.
retabling that for next week. I'm not even taking that bait right now. So we have heard, like, honestly, the full disclosure first off, I did not even hear when LeBron said, that he has to think about if he's coming back next season or not. Because earlier in that same press conference, the question was posed to him. I don't remember who asked him the question, but the question was posed to him. how do you feel about this team? Do you think that you guys could just run it back next year? And he said, to be fair, that really and truly, he can't make a statement about next year because he started going on through the list of who's still on the team, who's still under contract, and he said, "Well, I'm going to be here. AD is also going to be here." And he talked about a couple others that might have like team options, like Malik Beasley and some others. So when you come out early in the press conference and say, "Well, I can be here, AD can be here," my first thought was, "Be very sure that AD can be there because if it was the bus, if it was in that bus crew, I'd be lucky to see what you can get for Anthony Davis. There's no way that I can just sit down here, carte blanche, and say, well, Anthony Davis can be coming back. Based on what? He ain't show me nothing to tell me that I need to bring him back on here. All he doing humbug any place. So I would be considering moving on for him. But then, later on, he's like, but he has a lot to think about. And I do believe that the timing of the question does also play a role because you just get sweet. This is not the first time you get sweet. But this is probably the most embarrassing sweep that you hold since you've been in the league. So, because, all right, he gets swept in the finals by the Warriors, but everybody was going to get swept.
Yeah, I'd say that, like, I'm not buying that this is embarrassing because for me, right, and maybe it's because I look at it a bit differently, but because of his age and where the Lakers started from, like being 13th in the West and actually getting into playoffs, I actually don't think they should be embarrassed of how the season ended. Like to get the Western Conference Finals with that roster, with him being so old, Anthony Davis being so up and down, I see that as a success. So I don't see this as being embarrassment because the Denver Nuggets, in my estimation, were just that much better. The embarrassing sweep for me again is the finals against Golden State. But this is like I would be I would take this as an encouraging sign this season actually getting Western Conference Finals because let's be honest, even the biggest LeBron James fan would not have gone had them getting this far.
Man, you make it work. So
What?
Adam and I are in some groups, right? With some Shannon Sharps in
Okay.
A-
terms of their level of fandom.
AJ in there too?
Hey,
And these men will bring down heaven that this LeBron James Lakers team should have won this series in 6 games.
wait, serious?
Just these men believe that LeBron James born out of a lily.
I mean, I like LeBron James too, but I smart enough to know when a team is just better than you. And as I told y'all before, the Denver Nuggets as a roster is probably the best constructed roster in the entire league at this moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't debate that. I would not debate that. And that's before that sweep. That's
That's
before that.
that's even before this Boston meltdown. I honestly thought the Denver Nuggets as a roster were the best constructed roster in the NBA.
Agreed.
And I mean, it's nice to hear that the Denver Nuggets are getting some flowers. I mean, I guess a man that live in Denver had to
Deserve it.
really want to bring the opportunity for them to get some flowers. But the Denver Nuggets, as I said last night on your show, Justin, for those of you who were not with hashtag this just in, you can catch it on YouTube at your convenience. Yours truly made an appearance where we talked about some of the same stuff we're talking about right now. And one of the things that I made mention of during that particular episode is that these Nuggets have been a good team for the past 4 years. The Nuggets have been in the playoffs every season for the last 4 years. And that is with and without Jamal Murray, who is finally healthy again.
Right. Like the only reason this Denver Nuggets team was not where it is right now for the past 2 seasons prior to this is because both Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray were dealing with injuries. Like as I told people, every time that Denver is healthy, look where they are. Denver. Last time Denver was healthy in the playoffs, 2000, they were 2020. Sorry, they were in the Western Conference Finals, and now they're healthy again and in the NBA Finals. They don't I would not judge them on 2021 or 2022.
Yeah, you were saying something, Adam?
Yeah, you got to add to that. Like it, people doing as though Denver hasn't have. This is the first time Denver have shrewdly added pieces as well. Like the added piece of AG50 is such a remarkable ad. KCP is such a remarkable ad. Bruce Brown, such a remarkable ad. But this is the same Denver franchise that had ad Boogie not too long ago. And Boogie was lovely coming off the bench until he got himself hurt as well. You know what I mean? Boogie was they had another piece too. It just was going off the top of my mind. But Denver has have consistently built this reputation of being of being unlucky. You know what I mean? So like key pieces, no stars was missing, as in waiting the necessary job the hump. Man, that Denver team could take a mountain to be in these finals.
So Adam, I can put a question to you because we kind of gone off the rails here a bit, so we might as well keep it rolling. The question was posed last night on Justin's show in relation to Jokic being the best player in the NBA right now. One of the gentlemen on the panel said that if he was starting a team today, he was going to bring on Mr. Jimmy Gets Buckets instead of Nikola Jokic.
Mad. He gotta be dope. Let it know we on live. Everybody can hear me. He whatever he's smoking, the police need to lock you up for it. Stop that right now. And this is nothing against Jimmy Gets Buckets Butler. This is nothing against but you talking about starting a franchise with a player right now, and you will start the franchise with Jimmy Butler over Nikola Jokic, a walking triple double. You got to be high. You got to be mad.
And the thing is, for me, right, it's not just a triple double, right? Because I try not to use that as a means of measuring a player's ability simply because I sat down and watched Russell Westbrook pad stats for 4 straight years, and I am on record as seeing first the
Ain't the
MVP
same,
year.
dog. Ain't the same. Can't let you do that. That ain't in the same.
So I had an issue because the MVP year, as impressive as it was, I was going to give to James Harden simply because I have an issue giving an MVP to 6 seed. I had a real problem with that. The reason why I give Nikola Jokic props for his triple double per se is because of his impact on winning. It's not just numbers; it is the numbers that relate to wins and what he does in terms of being a great facilitator, scoring, and rebounding. Those things translate to wins. We all have seen people put up stats and lose. And there is a difference between Nikola Jokic and everyone else who puts up numbers. His numbers impact on winning, and that's how I differentiate great players from just stat patterns. And so that's why I try to stay away from just, the triple double. Like, in all honesty, if you told me if I wanted to start a franchise today, yeah, I'd agree with Ken last night and say it's probably Giannis. But if you're telling me the best player right now, the best player in basketball right now, it has to be Nikola Jokic. Like, again, it's hard to stress this point, right? But what he does in terms of his numbers, in terms of his impact on winning, is not right now match. Like, that's why I look at Luka Doncic, as sometimes those numbers are empty calories because, yeah, he puts up numbers, but one, it does not facilitate having another good player next to him because everything has to go through him. Well, when you look at Nikola Jokic, well, like everything doesn't have to go through him, and players can play their style of basketball whether Nikola Jokic is dominating the ball or not. And then when you saw even in the 2 MVP years, you look across all of the advanced metrics, the one advanced metric that Nikola Jokic does not dominate, oddly enough, is player usage. And it's shocking for a man that has high metrics in terms of points, rebounds, assists, but he's not high in player usage. It's crazy.
You
I
have your
don't,
hand up, Adam.
yeah, so I thought slightly analysis of the most valuable player. I've always said, I've always said, the key word in the MVP is value. Most valuable player. That's why the MVP doesn't always go to the best player in the league. It goes to the most valuable player. That player that if you remove them from the team, the biggest drastic change occurs. And for the Denver Nuggets, that is Nikola Jokic. So, which is why the usage rate, as you said. But what I will say is, it's not just the triple double. The reason why I believe you still have to mention the triple double is because of the point you made on Justin. It translates to the wins. By comparison, I fully believe, and nobody can't move me on this point. Russell Westbrook won the most valuable player because he was the first person to average a triple double since the Big O. That was it. Um, um, with Jokic not winning this year, for argument's sake, I still stand with the fact that Embiid was a little bit more valuable than the Joker. And that brings in another point you made, Justin, in giving an MVP to a player on a team that is a sixth seed. Yes, your seeding and your wins and what's not matter, but it goes back to my original point, which is value. The most valuable player, which is why, and AJ can like this, which is why I think T Mac was shafted the year that everybody thinks he was shafted. He was the 7-4-8 seed that year. Orlando was the 7, but if you took T Mac out of the East, not just off the Orlando team, out of the East, it would have looked way different. Like my metric for the most valuable player is value. You can play that to every stop, man.
AJ, you've been quiet for a second, so let me get you back in here. What do you have to say with regards to where the discussion is right now? Because it doesn't even have a label for it.
I didn't even know where it is. But I wanted to answer Kirk with this though, because I feel like this is a little harsh on Jimmy. To say that he's a prickly character who needs a very specific set of circumstances to thrive, he needs a proper basketball culture. That's all. That's all. Like where has Jimmy gone and been disruptive that was a proper culture? Nowhere. He was with the Bulls. He and the Bulls had to part ways because it just wasn't the best business decision for each at the point when they did. He was going in a direction where the Bulls weren't headed. He went to the Wolves, a soft team. He went to the Sixers. Well, come on, marshmallows. So, what did he really disrupt? He's not disruptive. Nah, nah, come on. Man had to play with it. Huh? I can't hear you. No, you muted. No.
Go again, Adam.
What you said?
Marsh at the man practice. The Bulls make a stupid decision as much as I love Zach. The Bulls have no right trading Jimmy Butler. That's number one. Especially when at the time their future was so uncertain. That's one. Two, he went to the Wolves and yes, he disrupted the Wolves, but he disrupted by showing them how yellow belly them is.
Exactly.
G League men are what?
My favorite basketball story.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But I don't. So I just said all that to say, like in his defense, I don't think he was disruptive to a proper contending team. Nah, like we all know the Wolves and both the Wolves and the Sixers organizations have shown us what they are prior to Jimmy getting there and after his departure. Yeah, they don't. Them boys ain't worth a damn.
So, so to piggyback on that whole Jimmy Butler thing, I guess it is fair to say that Ken runs the school for the misunderstood. You know how Xavier has the school for the gifted, where he brings on all the mutants. I run the school for the misunderstood because the players that I tend to gravitate to a lot are the ones that I feel get unfairly maligned. And that was Boogie Cousins because Sacramento painted him with a brush that he had to carry for the rest of his career. And even though when he went to places like New Orleans and They never had a bad thing to say about him, even to the point where after he tore his Achilles, you had Anthony Davis going and wearing his jersey number in the All Star game. That shows you one thing. To get picked up by the culture here in Denver, to go to Golden State, to have all of these other opportunities where you've never heard a bad word said about DeMarcus Cousins. But we look at what happened in Sacramento and we say that Boogie is a problem.
No, it's
The
another
only
badly
issue,
run franchise, an extremely badly run franchise, and the only reason we don't talk about it now is because of their recent playoff success, or not even playoff success. Sorry, this season's regular season success.
there you go. So Boogie had to carry that. I know Jimmy Butler gets painted with the same kind of brush. Adam outlined his stops. But really and truly, what are we? What is there in Minnesota? Because he earned this reputation in Minnesota first, and then it was supposedly exacerbated when he got to um, to
Philadelphia.
Philly. And even though he talks about how, oh, so you decided to keep him over me, meaning Tobias Harris, who nobody is mistaking for the second coming of anything. So Jimmy Butler gets, he has a bad rap. He, but I'm sure that if you were to put him in any of the good franchises in the NBA, because he is that kind of selfless player, and he will sacrifice to be to allow the team around him to thrive. He doesn't have to be the one to come out here and score 40. He doesn't have to be the one to come out here and get a triple double. He don't even want to shoot 3 pointers if you don't have to. Jimmy is just here to do whatever the team needs to get them over the hump. So
It could be the cold weather. It could be the cold weather for real. It could be. If it men decide to keep the man with more goldfish commercials than good playoff games, that's fine. That's fine. That's not the kind of organization Jimmy wants to be a part of. I will be Jimmy's advocate here.
I mean,
Canaan with the Wolves and the Sixers.
I would behave myself too if I moved to Florida and have no state taxes. I mean,
Facts.
So I mean that actually gives me a good segue to the last thing we could talk about tonight. Because I mean the other thing that I had planned, we can talk about that next week when none else is start. The Hot Bromo East. Because normally I would have the game on next to me so I could give the folks an update as to the score. But right now my tablet is over there on the bed, so I can't even mention of that. However, the Boston Celtics are staring at your love hole, and we had some of their players coming out in the media today saying, "Don't let us win one." I mean, that's the plan. Why you gonna say that? Because even if you win one, like, what's that gonna do? You're not coming back for Trinidad down. So the question is, fellas, and Adam, I'm coming to you first on this one. You got the benefit of seeing the score right now. Does Miami sweep Boston tonight?
So can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So the first quarter started hot. Boston had Miami 14-4. So every time I survey it, okay, no, and then we was ensued in a magnificent discussion. And I happened to peep back, and I saw that the score is now 33-24 in the favor of Miami. And let me tell you, if the Celtics feel they don't let us win one, because here you wait hot Miami Heat, they've got something else coming. Those undrafted players, of which we now know who their names are, like Cabe, Vincent, and, and Strauss, and them boys there, led by the ever awesome Michael Jordan Jr., um, Jimmy Butler, who will put the Boston Celtics out of their misery tonight. Cancun is just across the Gulf, so from Massachusetts, head across the Gulf tonight I think them gone tonight, and I will love it because I'm waiting on a couple Celtics fans that I know well. Some in some forums that we know. Can I waiting on them because they are tremendously quiet when the Celtics getting the breaks beat off of them, but they have the most mouth when the Celtics winning. And don't come and tell me. Let me end with this. Don't come and tell me, oh, but the Lakers get swept too. Sorry, we were 13th 3 months ago. 13th. You know what I mean? Swept by a monster Nuggets team in the conference finals. You were the almighty Boston Celtics that went to the finals last year, but a Wendell Curry II who dismissed you with utter disdain, and you thought that you will be walking back to the finals, brushing aside the likes of Zeus and Embiid and them boys there. But hold on, Jimmy deal with Zeus for you. He had to brush the next team that was, that everybody in New York some hope. And you took 7 games to deal with an impotent Embiid and Harden in game 7. And now it's love down against head same Jimmy Buckets, who can put y'all on a dinghy tonight to there to Cancun. 1, 2, 3. Like waiting. 34, 31 is now the score. They may have some fight in them left. I don't know.
So what were you just saying?
What's the question?
Is it over? Is it over tonight?
It was over from game 2. Like, don't know what. Wait. Is this even a conversation? Like, I don't know if the Celtics were trying to fool themselves more than anyone else. Like, no one was paying out any mind. Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown, don't let us win one. No, you're not going to win one. First thing first. Like, what are you talking about? Like, let's go into the factual part of this conversation. The Miami Heat have not lost a game at home all playoff long. Let's start there. So all of a sudden, now you're going to turn it around and be the first team to do such, being in a 3-love hole. And then on top of that, like, it is one thing to say, don't let us win one or we're going to win tonight. But what is there to make me believe you're going to win? I addressed this fully on the show last night, so I'm going to come back here for those who obviously didn't watch it. Your calling card for the last 4 or 5 years, since this iteration with Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum, since this iteration of the Boston Celtics, your calling card has been defense. That is the one thing you are not playing in this conference finals. You're not playing any defense whatsoever. So you can't rely on that calling card because, and again, I can't believe that Stephen A. Smith actually brought stats that can help in the conversation, but I'm going to list them for you, or I won't list them, but I will make reference to them. He made mention of all of their top perimeter defenders, from Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, and Grant Williams. Each and every of them are giving up 50% shooting to their primary defenders or their primary targets. Over 50%. That is your calling card. You're not being able to do it. You have undrafted players scoring at will on you. What is to make me feel that you're going to win tonight? Then going to the second situation, the reason why your defense is so important, as I addressed last night, you are an up and down, inconsistent offensive team, and that has been the hallmark of your 5 years so far. Simply because I go over this time and time and time again, your best players are atrocious playmakers. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are terrible passers. I don't think this is a secret anymore. You can't start the possession with either of them because both of them are just looking to score. And if they do look to pass, they're bad at it, and it's likely a turnover coming. They leave their feet to pass. They don't know where to make passes. They don't know where rotations come from. They are atrocious passers, and they're not even willing ones. So the offense is always dysfunctional. Is either your turn or my turn. And that is why you saw Boston bringing in Derek White. That's why you saw them bring in Malcolm Brogdon, because they knew they needed players to run the offense. The problem is when you do that and then you have Marcus Smart also running your offense, it means that the ball is not in your best player's hands, and teams are willing to live by that. And right now, the Boston Celtics live and die by the three because of that same reason. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are not good at punching the key and making extra passes. So they're living and dying by the three. And when the three ball is not falling, like you see in this entire series where they're shooting 29% from deep, this is the result. Because you no longer have your defense to rely on, and your offense, your best players are always bad passers. And to the third point, Joe Mazzulla is not ready to be a head coach, especially not the head coach of a title-winning team. Whether it's the defensive adjustments that he fails to make, the handling of Robert Williams, doesn't know whether to start him, when to bring him off the bench, not realizing you need to pull Al Horford and have him on a quick hook to play Robert Williams, because Robert Williams at this point in time gives you more on both sides in terms of a rim rolling big man and also a rim protector. He has mishandled Robert Williams. He mishandles late in game adjustments and timeouts and that sort of situation. This Boston Celtics team, whether the defense is bad, the offense is bad, and their coach is not up to par for a championship winning roster, there is nothing that tells me this Boston Celtics team is going to win tonight. They are going home without winning a single game in the series.
So that's the answer to the question. Kurt is asking, you saying free email Udoka?
I'm glad you brought this up. Come, let's go. Boston Celtics are being made to pay. We talked about this last night, okay? The Boston Celtics are being made to pay for their sins in handling or mishandling Ime Udoka. Granted, right? I am not condoning Ime Udoka's actions. Yes, they are not illegal, but at the same time, you know, in any company, there are laws against a boss having improper sexual conduct with a direct subordinate or any subordinate for that matter. So you cannot have that situation. But here is the problem with that. That is a human resources matter. That did not need to be leaked to the public. You could have suspended him. You could have fined him some way, somehow. That did not need to be leaked in the public. And if the reports are correct, and again, people, please understand what I'm about to say and don't castigate me. If the reports are correct and this was a consensual sexual relationship with two consenting adults, if you are going to put this out into the media and let it circulate in the public and castigate Ime Udoka, then the other perpetrator should have been named. And if you wanted to protect that person in terms of, because this person was not a victim, this was a consensual relationship, at least according to what the reports tell me. And if you do not want to reveal the identity of the other person, then the facts, the circumstances surrounding this situation should have never been leaked in the first place. This should have been kept in-house. Human resources should have dealt with the matter, and the Boston Celtics should have moved on. But you made Ime Udoka to be the villain in this situation, and now your chickens have come home to roost. And the problem is now you should be looking to move on from Joe Mazzulla, but you can't, because you know why? Two reasons. You get rid of Joe Mazzulla. One, you're acknowledging to everybody that you made an error. You were wrong in how you handled Ime Udoka's situation. And two, and most importantly, if you move on from Joe Mazzulla, you'll be looking at your fourth coach in 4 years. And the Boston Celtics do not want to look like a foo-foo organization.
So, before I get there, I can let AJ come in. So, AJ, do you have anything to add with regards to this coaching situation? But also, do you believe that Miami wraps it up tonight?
Sorry, first you asked if I had anything to add to which situation?
The coaching situation.
Oh, coaching.
The coaching conversation, yeah.
Not much different to what Justin said. I mean, we had this discussion when the entire thing was actually taking place, and it was handled bad. And like I said, like I learned when I was studying, doing my sports management degree, nothing gets out unless you want it out. So the Celtics released this. Like, there's no way that this just leaked. The Celtics did release this. So to Justin's point, which I will just fervently agree with, they mishandled this entire situation. And again, that is not condoning Ime Udoka's actions. even from an ethical or moral standpoint, if you want to look at it like that, whatever. But from the business side of it, it was completely mishandled by Boston. And I completely agree with Justin. I mean, there was a point where I thought to myself that they were going to make Joe the scapegoat, Joe Mazzulla the scapegoat, but then I was like, nah, it would look bad on them because they'd be getting rid of another coach, and it would be like, as Justin said, like the fourth in 4 years, like, and it just that lack of continuity is not something that they want to have, right? Um, with regards to, I'm sorry, and the initial question was, if Miami wraps it up, yeah, yeah, it's done. It's done. It's over. If there's no way I'm going to give the Boston Celtics a snowball's chance in hell of winning a game on the road when they couldn't sneak one at home. It's over. And I can't wait. I can't wait for tomorrow for those quotes about just don't let us win one. I can't wait to see them on freezing cold takes tomorrow. That's all.
Go ahead, Adam.
Uh, just that I weigh the same coaching said points that Justin brought up and AJ spoke about just now. I believe that the Celtics, or I also believe Boston used the opportunity to get rid of Ime for whatever reason they wanted to, whether it be to make a statement, um, whether the other person in the relations threaten the organization. You know what I mean? I honestly believe Ime was the scapegoat, and Boston pay for it. As a matter of fact, pay for it all now.
So, I mean, Justin has outlined it beautifully. So, I don't have to go back through everything that he just said. But what I did say last night in relation to this, because well, Kurt's asking about free Emil Udoka is kind of close to a question that we addressed last night in terms of should we fire Missoula. And I said on the show that I don't think that Boston should fire Joe Missoula. And I I feel that the reason that you should not fire Joe Missoula, there are levels to this. The first one is when he came into the job, he came in on an interim basis. It's not like if Ime did what he did and they fired him immediately. So then Joe comes in and Joe now has free reign to do whatever he wants. Joe comes in and he's basically trying to continue what Ime started because sooner or later the expectation is Ime Udoka is going to return. Sorry, Justin, I got you upside down again. So when you have Ime going out and coming back in, eventually you're not going to do anything that is going to upset the apple cart for the head coach whenever the head coach returns to his substantive post. As the season progresses and they realize that that Joe Mazzulla actually has the Celtics playing relatively good basketball, they are still winning games, they're doing pretty well, then you don't have a situation where they feel uncomfortable to put Joe Mazzulla into position, and then Ime eventually gets fired. They held Ime long enough to make sure that he didn't end up at one of the other teams that they didn't want him to end up at. So they kept him until they no longer needed to keep him. But then when you look at what the Celtics have done, the team, in terms of the players, they're doing a lot of the same foolishness that they were doing from before. So when you take that into consideration, you're gonna fire a coach because he couldn't get the team to stop playing the tail that was playing the tail all the time before. But they was playing the same tail under Brad Stevens. They're playing the same tail under Ime. They're now playing the same tail under Joe Mazzulla. It can't be the coach. It has to be the players. So you need to do something different now where the roster is concerned. And even with them playing the tail the way that they've been playing the tail all along, they're still the number 3 seed. They had the third best record in the NBA because all 3 of them had a better record than Denver did. And this team is in the Eastern Conference Finals again, which means that yes, he may be making mistakes. There's no one's going to argue against that. But he's doing a good enough job that the team is still performing, is still getting to where 13 other teams wish they could be at this very moment, even though they may be right now looking at the broom because It seems from Adam's facial expressions that a broom is not even just sweeping your feet, it's getting cracked across their back. So with the Celtics, they have a lot of challenges that they will have to overcome, a lot of stuff that they need to figure out. But I don't think firing the coach is the answer. Right now, just take the sweep, go on home, come back next season, and let you see what can happen. But I think that is a great spot to land tonight's episode. We had a ball again. This was great, fellas. If you will grant me another week, next week, again, please come on through. Adam, as we are getting notified, tell the folks where they can find you.
All right, I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Bolosfa 005 on Twitter and Jean-Marc underscore Maximus on Instagram. And seeing that being welcomed into this GreenBaje family. Anytime these boys here call me through, you know, I will pass through with the, the little knowledge I have to add to of greatness that is the GreenBaje podcast.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that. Justin, tell the folks where they can find you as well.
First, before you're looking for me, go follow Adam. Go follow the GreenBaje family. Like, definitely a good watch every single week. So go follow, like, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, wherever you get your short form content. And then when you're done, come on over to hashtag this just in. Please put in the hashtag. You don't want Max Kellerman and you rip off this just in. You want us. So indeed, every Monday night we are on YouTube, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. in the Eastern Caribbean time zone. For our short form content, you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Facebook, and you can find us on Twitter. Hashtag this just in. Please, please, please. Please hashtag right there. So look.
It's true, and hashtag this just in is always a good time. We have been on there quite a few times. I especially whenever AJ and I go, we tend to find ourselves in a more heated argument that we ever have here on this show. So check out hashtag this just in. It is brilliance. It is absolute brilliance. So AJ, we glad that you are back in your chair as well because you had the family thing happening. So we are glad that you are here with us as well. And this is where we're going to end this week's episode. As Justin said, folks, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that every time that we are on, you will know. If you are listening to us and not watching us on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitter, I'm sorry for those who are on Twitter. If you're sending comments, I can't see them. You need to be either on Facebook or on YouTube so that we can get the comments. But we appreciate your time as always. We thank you for spending any of it with us as well. And like I always say, that is AJ. He's the green. I am Ken. I am the Beige, and we will see you next time.